More than 42 acts of the most severe types of black magic caused the most terrifying end for a simple family in Saudi Arabia in 2017. This was the family of Nawaf al-Sakiri, who lived in terror for months, until they ended up in a horrific and frightening way, leaving behind one of the most terrifying stories in our Arab world. The reason for it was one they trusted and brought into their home. Today, I will present the story file to you and tell you everything that happened in all its terrifying details from beginning to end. So, my friends, make your perfect coffee, take a quiet, secluded and warm corner, and get ready for one of the most terrifying stories of Malwani's files literally, which is the story of the Indonesian maid Anissa. So, let me tell you, in the name of God, let's begin. Every story has a beginning, and the beginning of our terrifying file today will be from within the city of Taif in Saudi Arabia, specifically in 2017. I swear to you by God that you will not hear this story anywhere, and even if you find it, it is impossible to find the details that I will tell you, because the story with all its terrifying details reached me from one of the relatives of the expatriates in Saudi Arabia, and he tells me that it was told to him by the owner of the story himself, who is Abdul Rahman al-Sakiri, the young man who in 2017 was 22 years old and currently works in a well-known company in Saudi Arabia and is 28 years old and resides in Riyadh. As for the year of terror for him, the year 2017, he was residing in the city of Taif with his simple family, which is the family of Nawaf al-Sakiri. And Nawaf is Abdul Rahman's father, and he is 56 years old, and his mother, Hadia Shawaf, is 45 years old. And he has a younger sister, Fatima al-Sakiri, who is 17 years old. This family in 2017 had one of the most terrifying stories written for them, the end of which was much more terrifying. The family was living its normal life in the city of Taif, and their life was very stable. But with the beginning of 2017, the family's concerns began to increase. Everyone in it was interested in something, whether it was work or study, and this caused neglect in the house. They were forced to seek the help of a housewife, or in general terms, a maid. After a lot of searching, they found an Indonesian maid, and her name was Anissa. Anissa at that time was 32 years old, and she came to the al-Sakiri house through acquaintances and so on. But Anissa's origin and separation were unknown. All they knew about her was that she had been working in the houses of the kingdom for more than 10 years, but where these houses were exactly, no one knows. So Anissa for the family of Nawaf al-Sakiri was completely untrustworthy, but they needed her help, so they relied on God and brought her into their home. From here I can tell you, my friends, take a sip of your coffee and focus and listen carefully to what will come, because what will come is the beginning of our story. After a few weeks, amidst what Anissa was living in the al-Sakiri family, strange things began to happen, such as money and gold accessories disappearing from the house. When the family members realized this, they felt that Anissa was behind what was disappearing due to the lack of trust between them, but they decided to wait and remain silent completely. The days and nights pass over the al-Sakiri house, and the family then begins to feel the disappearance of their belongings, such as clothes, shoes, and the like. They were not disappearing completely, no, but simple things were disappearing, but they were clear to them, and again the family did not decide to take any action and remained completely silent, until the day came when something happened, which is the day when Fatima, the daughter of the family, the 17-year-old, was sleeping in her room late at night, and woke up to the sound of abnormal movement in her room. When she looked around the room, she did not see anything because of the darkness, but she felt the presence of a person in her room at night, and she could see the features of this person well, and it was Anissa. Because of her excessive fear, she decided to stay in her place until morning. When morning came to the house, Fatima realized the disappearance of something from her belongings and decided to inform her family of what happened, and that Anisa had entered the room at night. Here, her father, Nawaf al-Sakiri, finally decided to take a stand, after all the doubts were clarified that Anisa was a thief, and confronted her with this, and expelled her from their home. But the strange thing is that after Anisa left only 2 weeks, the belongings of the al-Sakiri family returned to their place, and the strangest thing is that Fatima went to her family and told them that Anisa did not do anything, and that she did not come to the room while she was sleeping at all, and that she was dreaming, nothing more. How is this, Mawani? Isn't it supposed that Anisa was the one who was stealing and Fatima saw her? This is what was going to drive the al-Sakiri family crazy, and made them feel that there was something wrong. Fatima suddenly changed her words, and the things that were stolen returned to their place again, so they certainly imagined that they were lost in the first place, and they thought badly of Anisa the maid, and this made them feel regret, and Nawaf decided at that time to bring Anisa. But Fatima completely refused, and did not deal with them at all, and remained in this situation for a long time, until one night everyone was sleeping in the al-Sakiri house, and suddenly screams broke out in the house in a terrifying way. When the family members ran to see the source of the screams, they found the maid Anisa standing at the door of Fatima's room and screaming at the top of her voice. When they ran towards her quickly, they found a literally terrifying scene. Fatima, their daughter, ended her life by hanging herself from the ceiling of her room in a moment that made the al-Sakiri family collapse, and they were not aware of this difficult scene. Something was shocking and very difficult for the al-Sakiri family. Unfortunately, the shock was heavy, and this family could not bear it at that time, because only 2 months after this disaster, Nawaf and his wife Hadia Shawaf separated from each other, and Hadia left the house and departed, leaving Nawaf, his son Abdul Rahman, and the maid Anisa alone in the house. We can say that from this moment, the family of Nawaf al-Sakiri was destroyed, but if you think that this is the end, you are wrong, because after more than a month, something new begins. Nawaf gets tired one day while he is at work, and goes to be examined by his own doctor. When the doctor examines him, he tells him that his condition is good, and that he has nothing wrong with him, but Nawaf's condition was not good at all, because he looked really tired, and he was absent from work for a week to rest in their house. But week after week, Nawaf's condition worsened in a terrifying way. His body weakened in a frightening way, to the point that his face became almost skeletal, and his movement decreased significantly. When his own doctor came to the house and saw his condition, he was afraid, and he was even more afraid when he examined him and found that everything was normal. He asked for X-rays and tests quickly to make sure that Nawaf did not suffer from any disease at all. What Nawaf was going through seemed completely illogical, and his condition worsened day by day. The doctor followed up with him every day, but could not diagnose his condition at all. The only thing he could determine was that the days of Nawaf al-Sakiri had become numbered. Everyone knew this news, and all the relatives of Nawaf were with him every day in the house to stay with him in his last days. Amidst this distress, there was a person named Zakaria al-Sakiri, who was 62 years old. He was Nawaf's older brother and the most important figure in the al-Sakiri family. When he entered the house of his brother Nawaf during his illness and was regularly with him every day, he began to feel something unnatural, something completely uncomfortable in his brother's house. The house smelled very heavy, and he felt this because of his experience and knowledge. He realized that there was something in his brother's house. The reason he felt this was that every time he entered Nawaf's house, his soul felt heavy, and he sensed the presence of something with them in the house. And yes, my friend, the house was inhabited by something. What made him realize this more were the signs indicating the presence of something in his brother's house, like slight scratches on the walls and black spots in all corners of the house. All these details and signs made Zachariah sure of the presence of something in his brother Nawaf's house. One day, he decided to stay overnight at the house to see more and reassure himself. That night, as he sat next to his brother lying on the bed, Zachariah felt the need to enter the bathroom. In the middle of the night, he walked to the bathroom and saw visions of people wearing white passing around him, a clear sign indicating the presence of jinn. Zachariah decided to inspect the house piece by piece. He walked around it comfortably, reading the Quran in his mind. He entered the bathroom and the kitchen, looked at them, entered Abdul Rahman's room where he was sleeping, and then entered Fatima's room. Here, Zachariah stopped for a while, his foot fixed at the door of Fatima's room, realizing the presence of something unnatural. The room smelled very heavy, prompting Zachariah to enter and close the door behind him. He began to look around, unable to breathe easily because of the heaviness of the place on his heart. After searching, Zachariah found something terrifying under Fatima's bed mattress, a piece of her clothing tied in a complicated way. Zachariah tried to untie it but couldn't and realized that this piece of clothing had something tied to it. He decided to leave it under the mattress to avoid harm. He continued walking around the house that night and reached the maid Anissa's room. When he arrived at her room's door, the light went out in the whole house. From that moment we know nothing until the morning when Abdul Rahman was found screaming and running to his uncle Zachariah, who was lying unconscious in the middle of the hall. When Abdul Rahman woke him up with water, Zachariah trembled and grabbed his hand, saying they must leave the house immediately. Abdul Rahman didn't understand, but Zachariah insisted, saying he would explain later. They moved to Nawaf's room to take him and leave quickly. But when they arrived, they found Nawaf sleeping on the bed with his eyes open, staring at the ceiling. Zachariah realized something was wrong, approached his brother and put his hand on his heart. Nawaf had passed away, a very difficult moment for Abdul Rahman, who collapsed and screamed. Nawaf was buried next to his daughter Fatima. The Al-Sakiri family disintegrated completely. Nawaf and Fatima passed away, and Abdul Rahman and his mother each went their separate ways. As for the Indonesian maid Anissa, her end was truly terrifying. She completely disappeared from the kingdom, leaving no trace. Her terrifying and cursed secret was revealed by Zachariah, who told everyone that Anissa was the cause of the family's destruction. It was discovered 2 months after Nawaf's death when Zachariah, Abdul Rahman, and 3 sheikhs with miracles went to Nawaf's house and found 42 different types of black magic tied to the family. The most important was the piece of Fatima's clothing under her mattress, soaked in blood and inscribed with talismans. This explained why Fatima changed her words when she saw Anissa in her room at night and then denied it, leading to her difficult and terrifying end. The story makes us truly realize the darkness of the world we are in and the extent of its terror and harm. May God have mercy on us all from the blackness of souls surrounded by it. May God have mercy on us from the evil of souls that have no religion or creed. I am waiting for your opinion in the comments about this story.